Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel, where today I'll be giving you my in-depth trip report of my flight on Lufthansa's business class product on their Boeing 747. This is most definitely a route taken just to fly the 747, since they're becoming more and more hard to find, with Lufthansa being one of the last commercial operators of the aircraft. We start off our journey in Southwest Florida International Airport, where we'll be taking a short hop over to Washington Dulles to catch our transatlantic flight to Frankfurt. After a brief journey through the TCA checkpoint for Concourse C, we made our way down to Gate C3 with some to-go breakfast from a local coffee shop in the concourse. I took out my camera and enjoyed some minor plane spotting while I waited. Soon enough, our ride to Washington pulled into the ramp. This Boeing 737 MAX 8 will take us on a quick 2.5-hour flight to the capital. Since this was my first time on the MAX 8, I was curious to see how different it was from your average 737 NG. Anyway, let's take a seat in 34E and enjoy the flight. It's nice to see individual air vents, as not every flight today will have those.
It's important to have your seatbelt on at all times. To fasten your seatbelt, slide the metal.
We start to push back at around 1:22 p.m. and since Southwest Florida International's traffic system is pretty organized, we're holding short of the runway in no time. Here's our departure off of runway 24. Ah, what a nice view. Holy cow, our plane is bigger than Florida. While we're waiting to reach cruising altitude, let's take a quick look at United's in-flight entertainment. To begin, they have a very organized system separating their different sections, which included TV shows, games, and movies, all of which had a decent selection to choose from. The tray table was nothing special. It folds out from the seat in front of you and you can adjust how far away it is. Not too much in my seat back pocket, besides the safety card and some disinfection wipes I used earlier. My parents, who were sitting next to me, handed me this in-flight magazine, which I apparently didn't get with my seat. It shows maps of all of United's hubs and even a map of their routes around the entire world. And of course the fleet page, which is always fun to see. Once we reached cruising altitude, the crew started to serve beverages and snacks. I ordered my usual Coke, which came with a free sea salt chocolate thing. I also got the snack box so I can try it out. To be honest, I wasn't expecting too much from it considering we were in economy class, while we had business class tickets. That didn't really make any sense, but I guess sometimes the flight is just overbooked. To my surprise, the snack box included lots of delicious treats, both salty and sweet. The full list is as follows: apricots, beef salami slices, cheese spread, fig spread, almonds, cream crackers, breadsticks, and a chocolate. All of which was amazing, but I wasn't too big of a fan of the apricots, since they're just not my thing. With that, I plugged the earphones the crew handed out into the display, sat back, and enjoyed the flight. After a smooth descent, we were finally on approach for Dulles, so here's our arrival into IAD, runway 1 right. As we made our way to the ramp, we taxied past the international concourses, which is where we'll be heading after we leave the aircraft. Per apparently common standard, people started getting up before the seatbelt sign was turned off, and after crouching under the tiny space I had to finally stand up and stretch my legs, people finally started to deplane. Anyway, let's head underground for a long ride to the international gates. Here we are, and because I don't know what concourses these are, I'll just say we're finally at the international terminal. After walking around and snapping a picture of just about every aircraft here, we made our way to the Lufthansa lounge, which is where we'll be waiting to board our flight. After checking in, we made our way downstairs to the business lounge, which has a limited but unique view of this Austrian 767. Since I was saving room for my meal on the plane, I decided to get the most absurd mixture of food, but rest assured there were plenty of options. After getting tired of sitting around and not getting any aviation action, I thought I'd ask the receptionist if I can go into the center of the lounge, which is usually only available to first-class passengers. To my surprise, she said I could, so I hurried downstairs, grabbed my camera, and rushed back upstairs into the first-class lounge. I was able to plane spot for a bit, catching this Alaska A321neo. Since that's one of the few that haven't been retired yet, I took plenty of photos since I most likely won't see one again. Back to the first class lounge, the only thing that made it different from the business lounge downstairs is the layout, which had higher ceilings and just about everything was moved around. I stayed here until boarding, waiting for this Austrian 767 to push back. I even decided to wave to the pilots, and they waved back, which definitely put a smile on my face. Time ran out, however, and by the time the 767 started to push back, our flight began boarding. I wasn't complaining because for our flight to Frankfurt, we'll be flying on Lufthansa's Boeing 747-8 Intercontinental on the upper deck. In addition, we were able to board from the lounge, which made the process quicker and easier. Let's make our way over to the stairs. Exactly, stairs, on an airplane. I love it. Let's make our way up those stairs and to our seats. My family and I had the entire last row of the upper deck to ourselves, so you'll most likely see me in different seats throughout the video. However, my designated seat for this flight is 88K, a window seat on the right of the fuselage. It gives the absolute best view of the wing and its two engines. The Ape Geek inside of me was just ready to explode with excitement. Waiting for me was a pillow and a blanket, which turned out to be very comfortable. With these, I stowed my carry-ons in the spacious storage box to the right of my seat. After the premium cabins had all their passengers, the other passengers began to board. During this time, the crew upstairs started to pass out pre-departure beverages. I opted for the juice and not the champagne for obvious reasons. While sipping away at my second glass of orange juice, the captain himself came over to my seat and personally welcomed me on board. I guess the flight attendants noticed how much I was geeking out. He also promised a view of the flight deck once we landed in Frankfurt. Let's take a quick seat tour. Below the entertainment display, there's a small cubby with a water bottle and the amenity kit, which I'll go over later. Just above that is the seat back pocket, which has an in-flight magazine and a safety card. And above all of that is the display for the in-flight entertainment system, which is both touch and remote compatible. Next to our seat, we have the seat controls, and below all of that, we have a housing compartment for the remote of the in-flight entertainment, some headphones which are pretty comfortable, and lastly the tray table. The tray table pops out of the compartment with a slight push, allowing you to pull it up then lay it flat over your lap. And with the press of a button, the remote pops out of its holder and it's very easy to use. Although I didn't get it on camera, the remote also has another side which looks like a console controller mixed with a tiny keyboard. Something to note, however, is the lack of air vents, which surprisingly didn't bother me too much during the flight. And behind us on the headrest is a small light for reading. Once everyone was on board, the jet bridges retracted and we began our pushback.
Streifen Sie das elastische Band über Ihren Kopf. Danach helfen Sie Kindern und Personen, die Hilfe benötigen.
As turbulence can occur at any time, you are required to fasten your seatbelt whenever you are seated.
While we wait to start taxiing, let's take a quick look at the entertainment system. It had plenty of organized movies and shows, and even two cameras, which were basically right next to each other near the nose gear of the aircraft. Personally, I enjoyed my view better. Soon enough, we began our journey to the runway, which turned out to be full of plane spotting. Anyway, here's our departure off of runway 30. Since I didn't mention it earlier, Lufthansa's 32 business class seats on the upper deck of their Dash 8s are in a 2-2 configuration. I wasn't able to get too good of a look at any seats downstairs though, since I spend most of my time up here. Anyway, let's take a brief look at the amenity kit. This bag is of course branded with the Lufthansa logo, just like everything inside, among which are some wipes, a toothbrush with provided toothpaste, an eye mask, a pair of socks, and earphones. Just a bit later, the crew gave out these magnificent hot towels, which were just the best. Granted, they didn't have much of a scent, but that doesn't really matter. They compensated for that with freshness. Let's take a quick look at the safety card, which just like here is usually found in the seat back storage. Finally, I have a magazine in my seat, unlike another flight. Back to the present, the magazine is packed with plenty of products, including this one, which immediately caught my eye. Since I collect model airplanes, I was thinking about getting this one, but then I remembered that I'm on a European airline. I realized that in Europe, the main scales are 1/200 and 1/500. I looked into details and realized this model was at 1/500 scale. If you watch my other videos, you'll know I collect 1/400 scale. Maybe another time. Anyway, time to play with the seat controls. Anyway, time to check the seat controls. Just about every possible seating position is available to be recreated here. They also have 3 buttons that separately make the chair in 3 different positions: sitting up, relaxed seating, and lie flat. Well then, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy this flight on the Queen of the Skies. Shortly afterward, the kind flight attendant comes by and sets everyone's tray table. And as a quick snack, we were given a bowl of nuts and a drink, which of course for me was a Coke. And once that was done, dinner came along. For my first course, I ordered the pan-seared scallops and grilled shrimp with papaya cucumber salad and lime ginger soy sauce. The soy sauce paired wonderfully with the seafood. Its taste was beyond what I expected and is by far an amazing start to your in-flight meal. Another thing I noticed is its lack of large proportions, which honestly I can't complain about. The proportion given here is just the right amount of deliciousness to still save some room for the rest of your meal. Speaking of which, after inhaling the appetizer, the main course was presented. I ordered the grilled beef fillet accompanied by carbonet veal jus, white pearl onion, crushed potato with olive oil, balsamic onion, spinach and garlic, and shallot with grilled asparagus. I hope I pronounced that alright. To say the least, this was delicious. The steak was cooked to perfection and paired nicely with the mashed potatoes. Now combine that with the onion. All with the best view in the house. Something nice was that not only were there metal utensils, but they were branded with the Lufthansa logo. Even though this isn't a big deal, it's always nice to see, as little things like that really add to the overall experience. On to dessert then, for which I ordered some vanilla ice cream, which puts rocks to shame. We were also given a small box of chocolates to accompany the ice cream, because why not? I love this flight. After I finished off the ice cream, I opened the small box of chocolates. Inside there were 2 amazing chocolate truffles, which I savored every chocolatey bite of. Anyway, time to close the window and get some shut-eye.
The next day.
That was by far the best sleep I've ever had on a plane, and after coming to my senses, I looked out the window and admired the beautiful sunrise outside. Time for some breakfast, but first, another refreshing hot towel. After the table was set, the crew came along with breakfast. I opted for the coconut chia pudding with stewed strawberry and rhubarb, and some almond slices. In addition, a fresh fruit salad, and some marmalade to go with this delicious croissant.
Today, I wanted to eat a croissant.
All, of course, with a tasty glass of orange juice. While eating, we flew over the English Channel, which presented a unique view of the coast of both Great Britain to the right and France to the left. After breakfast, I got up to use the restroom. While I'm here, let's get a quick review of it. Presented neatly by the back is a small organized box containing extra amenities such as eye masks and wipes. There's also a changing station on the rear wall, then there's the toilet, and then the sink. The restroom itself was pretty clean, seeing as only people on the upper deck used it. Another thing to point out is that due to the curvature of the fuselage, I would expect the restroom to be a bit of a tight fit, especially being roughly 6 feet tall. To my surprise, this wasn't the case, and for a bathroom on a plane, it was pretty roomy. Back to the seat though, as we enjoy the last couple hours of this flight. After watching a bit of a movie and taking in the magnificent view, we were asked to begin our preparations for landing. So let's put the seat back up for one last time, make sure the storage bins are closed, and fasten our seatbelts as we begin our scenic descent into Germany, during which 2 flight attendants came by. I think they saw I already knew what to do without being told so they gave me a surprise cup of Oreos, which was very kind of them. I have to say, the crew were very kind toward everyone, which I can understand to be very difficult sometimes, as everything's always in motion on top of jet lag. Nonetheless, this crew came through, which I can really respect. Soon enough, we could see Frankfurt out the window, and after a quick alignment to the runway, we began our approach. Let's take in that view one last time. With that, here's our arrival into Frankfurt Airport, runway 25C.
Auf Wiedersehen. Dear passengers, please keep your seatbelts fastened until the seatbelt signs above you have been switched off. Captain Klang and the crew would like to say goodbye to you at this time. Thank you for choosing Lufthansa Starlines. Have a pleasant day here or a pleasant onward journey. Please be careful when opening the overhead bin so luggage cannot fall out, and double check your seat pockets for any personal belongings. Auf Wiedersehen and goodbye.
Welcome to Frankfurt, Germany, where it is plane spotting central. It's easy to say this flight was the most memorable of any I've ever taken. The crew was amazing, the food was amazing, and I was able to fly on one of the few remaining passenger 747s, all of which means a lot, and really made this flight what it was. An overall great experience. As we pulled into the gate, everyone began to stand up to retrieve their carry-ons. Not me. I sat back and eagerly waited. Before we pushed back in Washington, the captain personally promised me a tour of the flight deck, so once everyone on the upper deck left, he invited me in. I could tell that both pilots seemed pretty tired, but they still had an enjoyable conversation with me, which I really appreciate, although I didn't want to keep them from their break, and my family and I had a tight connecting flight we had to catch. So after some AvGeek talk, I thanked them for everything and shook their hands, as my family and I made our way to the stairs. And after saying goodbye to and thanking the flight attendants, we made our way down the second jet bridge into Pier A. Before the video ends, I just want to thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the first ever trip report on my channel, with many more to come. Anyway, this was my experience on Lufthansa's Boeing 747-8 in business class, which turned out to be a very fulfilling and enjoyable flight. So if you ever get the chance to try it out, I would highly recommend it. Thanks for tagging along, and until next time, fly safe.